Rexburg, Idaho. This is the Tutoring Center at BYU-Idaho, a safe haven for over 5,000 students every year. This is the story of various tutors who have come together with a common purpose: to help students achieve their true potential.
Hey, there you go. Was that a light bulb? Did it just click?
Yeah.
Awesome.
What you're about to see is real.
I'm so excited.
And unscripted.
I almost feel like tutoring is therapy.
The tutors, students, and teachers in this program are not actors.
What the heck is the Doppler effect?
This is the story of our purpose.
My name is Kevin Anthony. I'm a music major at BYU-Idaho. I tutor for Foundation Science 101. I've been tutoring for 2 semesters, and I'm from Orange County, California. I've been married for a couple years, and we just had a little baby boy. I served my mission in Scotland and enjoyed my time there, and I loved teaching so much so that now I'm a tutor, and I want to teach for the rest of my life. Hello!
I'm so sorry.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
My first impressions of Susie were that I could tell that she wanted to understand the topics that she was learning in that class. I could tell that she was willing to put the work into it to get a decent grade. I could also tell that she lacked a lot of confidence in herself.
My first semester, I was failing biology, and I had bombed my first exam, and so I decided to set up a tutoring session. And it ended up, by the end of the semester, I was meeting with my tutor like 3 times a week, and we were going over my homework. She was amazing, and I managed to pass the class with a high B. It helps me a lot.
Well, today with Susie, we got her test. What we're going to do, which can be a really good tutoring strategy, is we're going to go through that test. Other questions about this? Well, just for today, were you mostly wanting to go over the
I'd
exam?
like to go over these.
If I just sat there and told her this is what you need to be doing in order to understand test questions better, then that's just going to hit on her confidence. It's not going to build her up in any way. But if I'm letting her discover and letting her learn by asking questions, by prompting and prodding, then she's going to be able to discover for herself. She's going to feel that self-satisfaction within her, and I think those are the ingredients to build confidence. Is saying that, hey, this is me doing it. This isn't someone just shoving a bunch of information in my face. I don't know. Yeah. Remind me about that you kind of felt confused with the wording.
Well, it's hard because I know the information. I had this whole thing memorized, the exploration testing, the bubble thing. Right. And I even drew it out with all the information. I'm feeling overwhelmed with my classes. They're hard, they're rough. I feel sometimes like I don't quite get the material well enough, and I'm not doing very good.
With the 6 PQs today, we're able to use them really well, I feel, to help us with helping her test-taking strategies. Because what we did was we'd pick out a question and we'd review it. Using the 6 PQs, we were able to help her develop a strategy for the next time she takes a test. So it is impossible to be a good scientist and a person of faith. Where's our hinge? What makes it so that it's completely false? What word? Every question almost needed all the P's. We'd preface it and pace it. I would ask her about the content of the question, but also I would ask her about, I would ask her to tell me what her thoughts were as she was reading the question. Okay, so while taking the test, what threw you off about that question?
Regarding the radioactive decay of uranium. We
got to probe and prod from there because I don't know if she fully realized exactly what her process was with answering a lot of those questions, because a lot of them were pretty tricky, just how they were worded, and the way they were worded isn't exactly how she would word them or how she thinks, and so I would prod her to reword them to how, to thoroughly read it, and then to reword it so that it's in a format that she can understand. I don't know, it might be a matter of just rewording it in your head.
I don't like his wording for his test. I don't remember all of my learning disabilities. I know I couldn't, I had failed kindergarten because I couldn't learn the alphabet and the phonics. I still can't spell out words. I have everything memorized. I can read really well now. I've learned to adapt. Math is still very difficult for me. Like, I didn't even know if I would graduate high school. I was sitting there in my cap and gown and I thought they weren't going to call my name. But that's another point. Anyways, I feel like I read through the material and it's like I said, it's this different language and it's trying to learn that new language at the same time trying to work with my reading comprehension, and it's really hard. I thought I understood it, so I don't...
Well, it can be frustrating sometimes. I feel like maybe the most important thing for her, actually, is that someone is there to encourage her.
So, my name's Nick Blight from Blackfoot, Idaho, and I've been a tutor for a long time, I guess, 2009, so a couple of years. Yeah, so I've tutored biology, chemistry, and phys, science foundations, a lot of tutoring. I really like tutoring because it opens up opportunities for a lot of one-on-one. You get to know people. And not only are you knowing people, but you help them with things that they desperately want help with. I've had jobs where you're like in a call center and you're like, hey, here's some stuff, you want it? And they're like, no, why are you calling me? But here, everyone is really involved, and that's what I love. I love to interact in a way that they feel like they're getting what they need.
I'm pretty excited for the test. Yeah, just thrilled to go take that on your Friday night.
My name is Russell Gray. I'm from Boise, Idaho. I'm a exercise physiology major, and I go to the tutoring center. I look at it as a time saver.
And that's the two big categories of protein, right?
Uh-huh.
So we've got phosphatases and kinases.
Okay.
What's the difference though?
Kinases bring a phosphate to its target.
Perfect. Real general.
Yeah.
That's good. Sometimes students say, I want to talk about this topic, and where you think you should start, maybe they've already cleared all that up. They feel good with that. So by asking those questions, well, what's this? Tell me everything you know. That tells you, well, don't worry about all that other stuff, but start here. Or, I actually need to worry about that stuff with this student, whereas the other student I didn't have to. So activated relay molecule, can you think of an example of an activating...
Is that like camp?
Like camp. Prod is also a really important question. A lot of times I think students know more than they think they do. And sometimes it just takes a question to get them to realize that they know it. Things like, if you had to guess, or between these two things, what would you say is the one we're going to deal with? So, say everything I just said back.
Okay.
What's going on here? So the P that I look to make sure that the students are on the same page on where they need to be is really that last P, processing. Throughout the session, if I can tie things back to what we talked about before and make sure that the processing is still happening. With this session with Russ, there was a time where we went through a whole big long pathway and he got it. We went back through and he nailed it. But later on in the session, I asked a question back to that and he started to get mixed up.
Turns it into camp?
No. So I think processing is the most important because it's not just a one-time thing. You gotta, for me, I think it's most effective to go back a few times.
Well, there's just certain things that Nick does that would make him an ideal tutor, in my opinion. Before the tutoring session even begins, he's organized and asking what different subjects we want to cover during the tutor session. Nick just has a really kind personality, so you're not intimidated by him. You feel comfortable when you're with Nick.
Okay, well, I guess good luck on the test.
Thank you.
So, I think it'll be
Been a big help through the whole process.
Yeah.
I feel like we're getting there. I feel like she's taking some steps to be a better learner that maybe she wouldn't have before. Like, she got flustered with all the participation questions at the beginning of her science class, and I talked with her about how we can make those a positive learning experience. I think it took some confidence on her part to, even though she gets flustered with them, she writes them all down now, and she takes really, really good full notes on them. And I think just that little act, I think it shows some good confidence that she can learn from those, even though at the beginning she didn't believe she could. Okay, so radio waves. Talk to me about radio waves. What's their frequency, what's their wavelength, and what's their energy?
Their frequency is low.
I think the 6PQ method was really important for Susie preparing for this test, because in general, it really helped her, I think, discover that she knows her stuff and that what she's doing and how she's studying is working. And then setting the pace was really important too, because Susie does learn at her own pace. And so it's important that I ask her what she knows about a certain subject. They would hear it at a higher frequency or lower frequency?
Lower frequency.
Right, so you two would actually be hearing two different things. Prompting as well really helps her because she does know a lot, but she doesn't realize that all the time. Processing is also essential because, you can talk about all these things, you can use all the P's, but if you don't process, then it's almost like you're not pushing the save button on the computer. You've done all the work, but it doesn't really help things sink in. Well, I guess those are super focused. Okay. So then, what's the difference between frequency and wavelength?
A lot of what the tutoring center does for me, they help me understand the material. That's a huge thing. But one of the bigger things is they help me not to feel like, I don't want to get emotional, but sometimes I sit in classes and I just have a hard time not feeling stupid, and it's like I can look at myself and I can tell myself that I'm not stupid. But I leave the classes sometimes and I feel like that, and it's really hard. But when I come here, and we're able to work through these problems and I'm finally able to understand it, I can see that I'm not stupid. I can get this material, I can get it figured out. It takes a little bit of work. So it's really helpful because it helps me to maybe, I come home from my tutoring sessions and I feel pretty great about myself. The frequency is high, then the wavelength would be short.
Right. So explain that a little bit. I want her to get that A. I want her to experience getting that A, walking out of the testing center and seeing that A on the board. She seemed proud and excited about this test, and I think we can look through her answers and see what was confusing, and we could even talk to her teacher asking for advice and things. I know she's met with them a couple times, and it might come down to test-taking strategies and test-taking skills, because she knows the material, and maybe if there was something that we missed or that she didn't go over, we could see how and why we missed it and make sure that we don't do that for the Unit 3 test. I'm really excited for Susie to go take her test because I think she's got a little bit of excitement about it, and she's got a lot of confidence, and I think that is going to allow her to be happy with what happens because she knows that she's doing her best.